Welcome back to SwitchCorner. Today we're going to be taking a look at Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered on the Switch. This one it released back in 2010 and I'd say it's up there as one of the best racers branding the Need for Speed name. But how does it stand up 10 years later, and is it worth an add to your library? Well, first a quick shout out to EA for sending me a copy for this review, and yeah, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family and let's get started. So first I want to be transparent, I haven't beaten this one. If you want to take that as meaning first impressions, by all means, but I won't be attaching a score today. Instead, just giving my impressions of this port and really telling you how it all stands up and what you can expect. I beat it back in the day though, and it's been fun jumping back into this world, especially now with all the included DLC, something I never did have access to previously. So gameplay on this one, it's made by Criterion. They are the folks behind the Burnout series, and if you played the recent Paradise City port, it would be simple to mistake this very much for a sequel. That also makes sense given it was actually their follow-up game. What this one does though is it takes the open world concept of Paradise City, adds gameplay as both like a street racer and cop, and then gives you a little bit more flexibility in the way it's approached. My main point here, the map in Paradise City, it's fun at first, it got old quickly. Here you can jump immediately from event to event, but if you do feel like just like roaming the city, you can jump in and do that too. Makes the gameplay quick, there's no stop and start or hunting around for an event. And when it comes to career mode, I gotta say there's still a huge amount of do split between racers and cops. The events are really fun, from simple street races to escaping the police to of course actually being the police themselves. Here you'll get to take down the racers, let's say before they reach the finish line, or my favourite, reach an emergency in record time as you swerve in and out of traffic in just some like crazy ass Lamborghini police car. It's for sure separated from reality and it absolutely benefits for it. Come here if you want to go fast, don't really come here for realism or anything else. This is very much choose a race, choose a car, jump in as quickly as possible, just like the original release. Don't expect things like car customization, for example. It's just not what this game is about. It's about expensive machines already finely tuned, getting to the finish line as quickly as possible across tracks that keep things interesting thanks to a variety of like locations and shortcuts. Controls then are solid. Along with the usual accelerate, brake, handbrake, you will gradually gain access to features like a jammer, sirens, air support, spike strips and the like, dependent on the side of the law you are on. These controls are completely customizable from the options. For me, for example, I found it a little bit weird. They had like headlights attached to the B button, handbrake to Y, so I quickly reversed that. Like any racer on the Switch, it's also worth mentioning this console does not have analog triggers, so it's all or nothing on accelerate and brake. You'll need to get used to it at first, but I found myself drifting nearly every corner possible with very little difficulty. Finally then, you can also change camera angle between that behind the car viewpoint, which I normally stick to a on the hood and bumper camera as well. If you like your manual gears as well, then I will say here it is automatic only. Overall, look, the cars are fast, the destruction completely over the top, and yeah, it's good old Need for Speed, easy to pick up for a quick 5-minute race, but easy also to sink hours into. The career here for me, I gotta say, it was the same back in the day. It kind of outstays its welcome just a little bit. It clocks in on average around 15 hours, so things get repetitive understandably towards the end and you'll for sure feel some, like burnout, no pun intended. But honestly, it's one you'll be coming back to in between, because the best feature here, it's gotta be the online races. Now before we do get to those online races, perhaps the most defining feature of Hot Pursuit was its implementation of a new system at the time called Autolog. Autolog is simply an online service that tracks high scores, achievements, and career progression, so you could basically compete with your friends. It was very much like the Need for Speed social network. Sounds simple now, but in 2010 it was a seriously impressive feature, and I gotta say it still impresses to this day. It just drives competition, which is always a good thing. You'll have a wall where you can basically share you beating a friend's best time and essentially share a challenge their way. You can then see their progression, and of course you can play online. Online multiplayer for the Switch, by far the defining feature of the game. Racers, they're not known for an online crowd that sticks around for, let's face it, too long. The Mighty Grid, for example, relatively quiet online now, and it sucks. It's an amazing game that just doesn't have the community support. Hot Pursuit solves this issue with crossplay. The online, it's basic, quick race, find a session, so you can choose like race type or connect with a friend, but that's really all we need. It's refreshing jumping online without the worry the community might not be there come next week. As soon as you do jump online, it will have a small symbol as well, displaying how each player is playing, whether that might be PC or console, and I've absolutely loved my time with it. For this reason alone, honestly, if you like racing, you like online, it makes it a must-buy purely down to support. The final couple pieces of gameplay then on the menu, you will find Autolog recommends. This will give you a Fenster challenge, so can you take down the high scores? And then the garage, while it doesn't have customization, this game, it still has a ton of options. 71 race cars, 54 cup cars. As I say, you can't do anything to them outside of change the paint job, but it's still kind of nice to admire, you know, your collection. And it's broken down into sport, performance, super, exotic, and hyper. And that's really it for gameplay. It's fast, it's dumb, and it's all incredibly fiscal. It feels more Burnout than Need for Speed often, and the only inclusion I probably would have liked to have seen some sort of quick race format where I could just get a list of tracks and just jump in without having to navigate to the career map. Sometimes you just want to go fast, you just want to race, and it doesn't quite accommodate that. With that though, let's take a look quickly at the frame rates. So frame rate, and I'm happy to say it's a locked 30 frames per second throughout. I didn't notice a single drop. It's about as stable as they come, whether I had a ton of traffic, cops on my tail, or all the flash of EMPs, turbos, and everything else. Never faltered a bit, which is exactly what I expected after the solid port of Burnout Paradise City. So graphically speaking, it's a beautiful looking game. For a game that is now 10 years old, it is noticeable in some minor areas, the main thing being the outskirts of the tracks themselves, some repetition in like the details, I think trees, weird spots of grass. It definitely lacks, the detail and clarity we're kind of getting used to by now. That said though, when you're going a couple of 100 miles an hour, it's pretty damn difficult to notice. Even then, that's me honestly being extremely picky. On the Switch, this is going to be up there with some of the best graphics available. The tracks are scenic, the location's interesting, you'll be waving through, busy tunnels to the edge of the ocean, and then you'll even find a ton of off-road shortcuts that naturally flow into this world. The best bit though, the cars look absolutely stunning. These models are incredible, especially the lighting work that just shows every inch of the work that's been put into these beasts. One particular favourite area for me, it's a bit of a weird one, but turning the headlights on and just watching that light cast across the track ahead of you. Simple areas like this, that's the simple things that are so often missed. Then the crashes, well, they do get a little stale towards the end game, you're going to be seeing them a lot. They're still as over the top as ever as you come to an immediate stop and your car crumples like a tin can. There's no question, it's a beautiful looking game and they've done a good job bringing it into 2020. Wrapping things up then with audio before the final verdict, let's keep this quick. The cars, the engines, they roar, and each has its own unique design by car. They sound as aggressive as they look and feel. Then expect sound effects for your abilities, so EMPs, turbo, nitro, sirens, and just everything else that's going on. Most impressively though, it's the world itself. It sounds alive. You can hear the traffic, you can hear the world around you just to really fill out that sound field. Soundtrack wise, from what I know, we're looking at a whole lot of licensed tracks. Seems to be around 60 plus, and it's everything from rock to metal to pop to electronic. If you don't like a track though, it does have a handy skip function assigned to the left trigger. Always a welcome addition. So overall, I won't be giving a score on this one as I'm yet to beat the game in career mode. That said though, I enjoy my races. Outside of basically Mario Kart though, unfortunately, it's been hard to find one with a committed community, especially something that's leaning more into arcade or realism. Grid remains the best racer on the console, no question, but finding online races is now a difficult feat, which is a sad thing to say, or at least it's definitely not quick. Where Hot Pursuit changes the game, that crossplay, this means we might finally have the racer we can play for some time to come, and this might be the nudge devs needed for future races. The racing is fast and fiscal, the career mode is lengthy. Online options solid, and yeah, for a game from 2010, this remaster has truly pulled it into 2020, and for the Switch it looks stunning. It has its issues at points, and there's a few features I would have liked to have seen implemented, but if you're an arcade race fan, it's difficult not to recommend this one. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's an absolute must buy. So is this one you'll be adding to the collection? Are you going to be jumping online? If so, do jump into the Discord. I'd love to get a few races set up as a community. Autolog is about as good as it gets for a community to get together and challenge each other. With that then, like, a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. If you do want to check that out for yourself, I have linked it in the video description down below. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.